Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered new Vex build in Borderlands 4 to take on Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 and Bloomreaper the Invincible. Now, the trick with this build is that it's got so many ricochets going on that we're going to be basically taking out everything all at once. Even our Eldritch Blast there can ricochet around. And the best part about this is we got so much tankiness that even if we get blasted away like that, it's not a huge deal because we can always just bounce right back. So the best part about this build too is that you can really use any other weapon against other bosses, just not Bloomreaper. Basically what we want to be doing for the second phase is basically we're just going to continually spam the Eldritch Blast there so we get our ammunition back. And you see his health bar goes down really quickly there, so that's the beauty of using the bod, is that it just absolutely decimates the enemy's health. Anytime that we go down like this, we basically want to pull back our Eldritch Blast and then use our Repkits, and I'll be showing off how to get the action skill back in the video. Now the real stars of the show here are the Dark Beast, which recently got a really big buff, making it explode 20% of the time now, and it can pierce through. It's why it's so great, because a lot of these crystals are lined right up, and the bod, the ceramic bod in particular, because it has the Torglace and stickies, is what we need. Now you can use the new Rainmaker. It's okay. I tried it, and unfortunately against this boss it's not great, but on Bloodshot Vex it's pretty fun. Now as for the build, I really like the Grave Sights here, giving us increased critical hit damage, and gun handling is actually really nice here. We want kill skills on this. I tried bleed builds, but unfortunately they're just not as great against Bloomreaper. But this also lets us take the Grave Implements here, which we can get 20% gun damage every time we get a kill, max 3 stacks for 60%, but we can then take the Grave Power to get that even further, and we can actually stack these up really quickly. I also like to take the Target Prescience here because gun damage gains critical hit chance against any part of enemies. Those crystals are just really difficult. This makes it so that we don't use the critical hit knife as much. It's still a useful option, but you don't have to use it. And we're also going to take Grave Power. I think that that's just such a powerful ability to get early on too, because taking your gun damage up now to 6 stacks means 120% bonus gun damage. So you can really get rolling when you combine these all together. And this will actually give you a really big stack to your gun critical hit damage as well. After this, I think it's best to then put on our Augment here, the Witchy Trigger Finger. So dealing damage with Eldritch Blast or the Phase Explosion will give us the refill of her ammunition. So even when you activate it and you hit an enemy, you get your ammo back. And you also get a gun damage boost too while using this, which is just fantastic. Now, I'd actually recommend coming down to the right-hand side and taking Ars Arcana. Now, skill damage actually would apply to bleed as well, but I just found it didn't really match this build for my testing. Still a good skill because it's going to boost up our Eldritch Blast damage. And then we can come down and take the Essence Leech. We're going to be in our action skill often, which will give us the 20% lifesteal, making us stay alive a lot longer. And then we'll take the Blood as Power, which will add back bonus kinetic damage based on our lifesteal, which is going to be a good amount and actually quite a noticeable amount too. After this, Keen Mind's not that great. I'd actually recommend coming over here and taking Drink Full. Whenever we deal gun damage, we're going to get a faster fire rate, which is really good, because the faster we shoot, the more that we can break those crystals apart or use the bod and a bunch of other things. I just think this is very powerful. Now at this point, I do think Mortal Terror is just so good. It's a chance to activate our kill skills when critically hitting enemies. We're going to be hitting a lot of crits. This helps us hit crits, and Mortal Terror is just a very powerful ability. Now we can take Vibe Check. Now, previously you could just use Heart Pierce, but I actually found that this one works a little bit better, and here's why. So it's a charge skill, so it has 3 stacks, and activating the blast will use all the charges to ricochet on hitting an enemy. We want those ricochets because that just makes it easier for us to deal damage, and it'll basically waste off all the charges there. And then the cooldown is reduced by gun damage so that we can continually keep blasting away. This is really powerful just because it just lets us do a bit of extra damage as well. Now at this point, I like, since we got kill skills, we can take a stack of guns and needles. You don't really need a whole lot of this, but the cooldown restored is just useful because you can proc it easily with a high chance using this, and the Dark Beast shoots multiple pellets, so it's actually pretty quick to get it. Same with the bod here, but you don't need to use this. It's just a nice way to get additional damage. We could also go with the Fiendish Invigoration here. This will give us increased movement speed, but I actually think at this point, it's a little bit better to come over here and take the Enchantment, which will give us bonus kinetic damage when guns while our action skill is active. We're essentially going to try and stay in our action skill as long as possible, so this is a really great choice. And the last 2 points you could put into Hasty Fiends. This is actually a nice one because it's going to give us 14% damage reduction and 10% movement speed. The movement speed is just a nice luxury to have. And for Specializations, I like the Now with Caffeine again. Using a triple Repkit is extremely useful because this is how we actually get our action skill back in the fight, and we were able to get it 3 times during the fight, so this is really useful. I also have Riddle You This, giving us 50% extra gun damage, great, and Best Defense adding 30% to damage dealt when our health is full, which is also great, and then I'm a Gun, which takes the gun damage increases we get and adds half of them to our action skill. Since the Eldritch Blast does chain around, that's nice, although you could also go with the Bullet Train if you prefer, because we will be moving around quite a bit. Now, there's a lot of really good class mods, but I personally think the Teen Witch is just one of Vex's best. I actually think this is the best item in the game because it gives her so much lifesteal with 10%, but it also makes it apply to the shields and overshield. Potentially, the best role would be to get the 3 points in the Grave Thirst because it's going to give you even further lifesteal, and it's a kill skill, so that's 3 stacks. It can go up to 6 stacks. My personal preference is because it's so good. And then you can also get Corporeal, which will give you maximum overshield, which we also get. So that is the best choice in my opinion, and it gave me 2 points into the conjunction here, which will increase our damage the more we have shield. So they actually synergize all together very well. There's a lot of other roles, but as long as you can get the Grave Thirst, that's my top priority. Shotgun damage is nice too. Now, this is the best shield in the game by far. The Watts for Dinner is actually absurd how powerful it is. Bonus shock damage. But if you can get the amp roll on this, it'll drain 35% of your shields for 150% gun damage. I've been told a lot that the Siphon on top of that is also really nice. I've had a hard time finding that drop. I haven't found an amp and a Siphon. There's 3 different types of amps that you can get. I like getting the one with the 150 gun damage, but you don't need the amp. It's just a really nice thing to have for that extra boost to the damage. Now, for our enhancement, there's a couple. I actually don't like this one here. This one gave me shotgun damage and gun magazine size. I just wanted the gun magazine size on that, really, for this build. We would ideally get the Jacob's licensed bounce pass here, increasing the ricochets by 1. That just makes the Dark Beast shred through the first scene, or the first part of this fight so much quicker. So that's my personal preference, but you could also go with the Vladoff or the Daedalus ones. The Daedalus ones are kind of nice if you're using them with the bod, but honestly, just think getting the Jacob's bounce pass is so good. Now, we can use the Vivisecting Throwing Knife to give ourselves increased critical hit chance. You don't need to. You could actually even throw a Slippy because it'll just bounce around, destroying the crystals. Yeah, that's a good choice. You can even use some of the different types of rockets that are available in the game, but I still like the Vivisecting Throwing Knife. Even though we don't really use it, we're just using guns. And I went with the triple bypass with Leech. This gives us 30% life steal, which is great because, again, we do apply it to our shield. This is, I think, the best choice for Vex because it's just going to give you a massive boost to your overall life steal, but also it gives you your action skill back, so it synergizes very well. You can also go with one that's got like the tank to reduce damage by 50%. Enrage will give you increased damage by 30%, which is nice. The amp doesn't really apply well here. My preference being the Leech. Now, I did mention the Rainmaker just doesn't work on this boss fight very well. The two best, actually there's a few good ones. Dark Beast, it pierces enemies, which is so great because the crystals are always lined up. It'll explode, which destroys the crystals, and they do a good amount of damage too. And it can also use, if you can get the shotgun underbarrel, that's going to be the quickest way to do this. You want to have the Jacob's License accessory though, at very least. And the bod, again, as mentioned, this actually gets all the gun damage increases, but the Toric Stickies are needed here. And I'd prefer getting like, this one has SMG ammo. I'd actually prefer to get like sniper rounds. The Stray is another really good one. If you can get the underbarrel shotgun, that shreds the first phase as well. It's another really good option. If you can find that, it's a rare drop. I also want to mention the Wombo combo is great too, but the bod just kind of outdoes it. And even the Dark Beast does the same thing, but a little bit better. And there's actually quite a few purples that I'm pretty sure are really good here, but it's like the energy disc underbarrels that can actually do some pretty crazy damage. And the ideal firmware would be 3 stacks of Deadeye, giving ourselves increased critical hit damage, and then the increased critical damage that stacks up to 5 times, which is nuts. And then also 2 points of high caliber for the projectile speed and the gun damage. So the general flow to this, we need to get our action skill activated to be able to get the infinite ammo from this. So you can actually just activate it, and you actually can see here in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6, it's absolutely destroying this boss way too quickly. But yeah, the recent buffs to the Dark Beast are actually pretty crazy because, yeah, now it's able to just shred through enemies. That explosion happens 4 times more likely, so the damage potential from this is crazy. And you can get critical hits really easily. I'm not even going to use my action skill here just to show that even just the gun itself is actually quite powerful. But then you also have things like the bod here for whenever you really need the heavy power work, because it can just destroy health bars like that. So yeah, if you're mobbing, the Stray is going to be your best sniper because it just auto aims and makes things so much easier. You don't have to really play too hard. You can just sit back on the couch and enjoy. But that is the build, and a very powerful one at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.